Hello, everybody.
Hola.
Welcome to Caw, where we bypass the buzz and break down the big picture.
Whoa. Just a sec here.
Really messing up my thing.
Okay, sorry.
This is P over here. I'm M. This is Caw. We're about to Caw. Welcome to it. We're going to break down some big picture stuff every episode. We're sharing our homework with you. This is what we do in the off times. From P's pages, she's perusing to the videos I'm vetting to show you exactly how we research our world and the people that we meet out in it, because we went out and people today, y'all. It's an interesting world out there.
Yeah.
This is a space where we value the journey of learning over the status of knowing, although some people need to get knowed up, and that's what we're here. I gotta go fix this lamp because she keeps...
I know what to do. I needed it because I was actually using it for lighting purposes.
Not just, lighting the room.
Well, I was reading late into the night because my book didn't get here very early yesterday, and I needed to read it to be able to talk about it today.
Got to read it to know about it.
And it was a tough go because my eyes were giving out and the lighting was horrible, and I had to turn on every light in the house here in order to see.
There you go. All right, say hello in the chat so we can say hello back. I'm not gonna, we don't read off the names, but I will hello you, or we'll make sure people are friendly in the chat. Because that's important. Give us some, hello hands and who's it, what's it. Anthony's here. Right on. We like you here because when Anthony's here, he usually has additional information that is very useful to us, making us look better.
Yes. We kind of count on.
We also have some professional Googlers, and I appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
All help is welcome. Now, if you are not a helpful person and you're just a hater, take a seat in the back
and learn.
Take a moment, take some deep breaths, and maybe learn something. That's how I feel about that.
Now, ask questions.
So, we went to the launch thing of Gurvinder, who's running for City Council Place 4, I think, this time. He's such a sweet person.
He is, and his whole family is.
Oh, wonderful family. And his children got up and spoke.
Yeah,
they actually
like their parents.
Yeah.
And they're teenagers. I mean, that says a lot right there. I don't know how I'll get him aside and ask him how much their parents pay.
Yeah. Actually. He was going to hand out some checks to people. Hey, Eddie. I wasn't going to say hello to, hey, Jesse. Hey, Mo. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Eddie. So, there we go. That's who's here.
That's it? That's who's here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll have some other people joining us. I appreciate
Like it, share it, subscribe to it. That's this here stream thing that we do. This is episode 7. I'm going to give y'all an overview. Can't promise that that's actually what this is going to be about, but, we try. You ready? Okay. So our, actually that was my other thing. This is going to be what? The Constitution.
Uh-huh. The Revolution and Manifesto. Citizenship.
And all the other crazy things.
And the Cult of Trump and the More Dangerous Case of Donald Trump.
I wasn't sure what she said and what she meant by crazy, so I just said craziness.
Well,
because I felt like that applied to so many things.
It does. And I the whole thing is, I want you to know everything. And that I know. And sometimes, it's just best to give you little hints and whatnot and have you go out and buy these books. Because this book, I think this one was $4.95 at Thrift. Because it's an old book.
Did y'all hear that? Sorry.
I did. I heard it all the way over here. It makes me hurt. This is this was written in
the day.
2008. So, he hadn't even experienced the
things.
OTT.
Do you think he knew about him? Let's see, 2008. No. Really wasn't even on the scene.
He was probably on that show
that show.
I can't remember even the name of it, where he fired people.
Those people that put him on the television.
It was 14 seasons, for crying out loud.
I knew it
I
was
was
a crap
horrified
show
when
yeah.
I found that out.
Mm-hmm. We've aged 10 years, yes. I know that's right. So it's really like 20. Yeah. You know.
Okay.
That show. You know. Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what Thomas Jefferson had to say about it back in 1802.
We're also finding out that a lot of these founders and whatnot were not exactly nice people.
Yeah, it's not necessarily stand up.
Not folks we'd want to hang out with.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in
Hello, Judy.
Ben Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
Though written constitutions may be violated in moments of passion or delusion, wrote Thomas Jefferson in 1802, yet they furnish a text to which those who are watchful may again rally and recall the people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the reason he's bringing the Constitution in at this point is because he thinks that
Is it going to save us?
Well, he's hoping so the information will save us, but he's also pointing out that there are things that are happening that were not necessarily intended by the founding fathers.
Mm-hmm.
The power of the executive branch, for instance, has expanded far beyond the framers of the Constitution envisioned. One mechanism that has strengthened is the executive order. I can't remember where it was here. It says,
yeah, and if y'all remember,
how many of those that Donald.
This is the Revolution, a manifesto by Ron Paul.
Sorry.
He was a libertarian. This was written in 2008.
He doesn't define himself as a libertarian, but
it says it on the internet that that's what he is.
Okay.
Somebody has labeled him as such, and therefore he is.
He has his moments. I don't know that he's like dyed in the wool.
Right.
He has a little.
Hey, Benny.
He goes off that a little bit every now and then. Executive orders continue to serve as a potent weapon in the president's arsenal. Congress has sometimes been complicit in presidential abuses of executive orders, either by giving express sanction to the president's action after the fact. Oh, do we know when that might? Oh, no. Ignoring the abuse of power altogether.
Okay, wait, hold on. Because you're being.
You want me to read that again?
Yeah, because you're being snarky.
I was.
Don't be snarky.
I'm not going to be snarky. I'm just going to read it as is here in the book. Congress has sometimes been complicit in presidential abuses of executive orders, either by giving express sanction to the president's action after the fact, or ignoring the abuse of power altogether. You must remember, this was written in 2008.
We keep saying that because I feel like it's very mucho importante.
It was like they wrote it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
With executive orders, presidents can commit our troops to undeclared wars, destroy industries, or make unprecedented social policy changes. And they remain unaccountable because often these actions occur behind the door of the Oval Office, are distributed without notice, and then executed in stealth. This is a travesty against our constitutional system.
Mm-hmm. Word.
Now, this next one, the presidential signing statements.
We're streaming.
We're not even talking about OTT, folks. This is mainly about the Bush administration.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is funny. We were sitting us talking about. Oh, I'll talk about it later. It's pretty funny. It's a funny
If
story.
you want me to remind you, what are we going to talk about?
The Goldwater rule.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Presidential signing statements. No, okay. They talk about this practice was not unheard of in his previous administrations, so it was nearly always employed for ceremonial purposes. That was the intent of it. That's what it was like kind of a point of significance to thank supporters and pursuit of rhetorical ends of a similar kind. That's what he says here. Okay, the Bush administration, on the other hand, has very often used a signing statement as a vehicle for either expressing the manner in which the president intends to interpret certain provisions of law, his interpretation being frequently at odds with the one Congress obviously intended, or even for making clear his intention of not enforcing the provision in question at all. We're not going to do that. since they are so often made in areas that the White House shrouds in secrecy, foreign policy, I'm not sure that Donald even knows about that, privacy, and privacy violations. In 2005, though, the Government Accountability Office, I had Mariah look that up and said, we still have such a thing?
She's like, I don't think that still exists.
I bet you that's one of those
It does still exist.
things that,
It's one of those things
Tesla person I got rid of. Tesla person. That's funny. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Law professor.
Hey, we did. I need to change the intro thing because it makes us seem a little too serious and like this might be like legit all the time. We are gonna be some petty labels every once in a while, and there's just gonna be some pettiness because that's how I keep my sanity. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. And I have this special marked with two different pencils here, so I know it's important.
It's extra important. It got double pencil.
That means I read it twice. Law professor Jonathan Turley was blunt. By using signing statements to this extent, the president becomes a government unto himself.
Mo's here for it.
Mo, do you want me to read that again? You might have missed part of it. This is by law professor Jonathan Turley. By using signing statements to this extent, the president becomes a government unto himself.
Here's a little fun fact about that Turley dude. That's the one they like to bring up on the Hill all the time.
Turley?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I'm wondering if he still feels the way, like the things that he says here. Because sometimes they bring him in for some other things. So I don't know. It'd be real interesting.
Is he their token constitutionalist?
Well, one of them. And I think he, and somehow he's tied to, who's the other guy that, like, has been talking for, like, a while? In fact, sorry.
Well, he must be old as dirt.
Mm-hmm, a lot of them are, yeah. I think so.
Senile as Donald. The Bush administration has challenged more legislative provisions in this way than any other presidential administration in American history. Now,
it's real funny that, the things that they were saying back in 2008, we're like, okay, yeah, hey, could we stick to that? That would be great.
If Bill Clinton had done this, we would still be hearing about it.
You know what I'm sick of hearing is that whole thing about any of them. I mean, can we just stop acting like, I mean, I don't know what that justification does for us all.
I don't really either.
Right now, it just triggers me because I'm just like, okay, I think we've established that.
Yeah, I don't need, and it's it's lost its impact.
Exactly.
Today, few Republicans in public life have been courageous or principled enough to speak out against a clear abuse of power. He names them. Among them are Bruce Fine, Associate Deputy Attorney General under Ronald Reagan, and former Congressman Bob Barr. We think this is the same Bob.
Anthony.
This is the Barr, B-A-R-R.
Here, and we've said the same thing right here, but I'm like, let's all just take a moment though. Remember what a good old W did as well. But he said it took me a lot to get nostalgic for George W. But he's done it.
God, isn't that the truth? I mean, we used to make fun of him like he was the stupidest thing in the world until we got this one. Again, and I have this outlined out. Let's see.
She wants to show you her outlining.
Again, an American president must pledge never to use a signing statement as an alternative, unconstitutional form of legislative power. And Congress and the American people should hold him to it. Where are the American people? I don't know. I don't believe we've hired any, or sent any to Washington here lately. I don't know.
I think they're doing things. Here's the crazy part. There are a lot of people doing a lot of different things. We aren't hearing about it because we do not have a media.
Oh, this is very,
so you've got to seek it out.
You do.
And then, and then there's so much.
There is so much. And this is one of the things that I told Mariah. I said,
I know they owe me some money, Anthony.
When I've got 3 different things 4 different books that I'm reading from here, if you count my citizenship thing. I don't know what to tell you about first, but the reason I'm starting with the Constitution, because this is our law. It is still here. Mm-hmm. They haven't taken it away. It's there. But we have to insist it be used and referred to, and it is the law of the land. Au contraire to what OTT thinks. All right. Much of the recent revival interest in the Constitution, well, obviously, we haven't had that happen lately, around the Bill of Rights and the War on Terror, because remember all of our rights, the Patriot Act and all that crap, the big folder of stuff that went through in there that had nothing to do with being a flippin' patriot. Yeah. However, Americans must remember that the Constitution was designed not merely to prevent the federal government from violating the rights that later appeared in the Bill of Rights. It was also intended to limit the federal government's overall scope. Article 1, Section 8 lists the powers of Congress. Common law held such list of powers to be exhaustive. Okay. Okay. Patrick Henry raised precisely this question, and it was in the ratification. Okay, he says general welfare. Okay. Raised precisely this current as the ratification of the Constitution was being debated in Virginia. Wasn't general welfare a dangerously open-ended phrase that would permit the federal government to do whatever it wanted, since government officials could blandly claim that all its measures were intended to promote the general welfare? Supporters of the Constitution gave Henry a definitive answer. No.
No.
General welfare did not and could not have such a broad meaning. Now, isn't our Constitution a living document? Oh boy, he goes off on that.
He gets a little fired up about this.
He gets real fired up about this.
And I don't think I agree with this.
That evolves in accordance with experience and changing times, as we're so often told. No. 1,000 times no.
I disagree.
You're allowed to, but you need to listen here first.
Okay.
If we feel the need to change our Constitution, we are free to amend it.
Well, isn't that a living, breathing thing? Then if you get to amend it?
No, this is not, he's not talking. It's a different thing. Amending means that it's still the Constitution, but you can't just come in.
You can pierce its ears.
You
get a nose ring and dye its hair purple or blue. Hey, I'm here for levity and some humor.
In 1817, James Madison reminded Congress that the framers had marked out in the Constitution itself a safe and practicable mode of improving it as experience might suggest, a reference to the amendment process. That's how you do it, Mariah. You don't just suddenly arbitrarily decide, well, I don't know if I feel like that's, making me feel good today. Let me see, how can we interpret that?
Well, I think there's there's a little give in there. There's a little give.
I think that is, and that's I think where our judicial comes in.
Yes, 100%. But they're not doing a very good job right now.
They're sucking. That's why on this issue I agree with historian Kevin Gooseman. Did you look him up for me?
I can.
Who says that those who would give us a living constitution are actually giving us a dead constitution, since such a thing is completely unable to protect us against the encroachments of government power.
Oh, yeah, we did look him up.
What did we decide about good old Kevin?
He's an American constitutional scholar and
historian. There you go. All right. He's got some creds.
He's got kind of I don't know.
All right,
he's an old white dude. Like, how most of them are.
I have thought of, and this is what... Ron.
But I guess it's historians.
Good old Ron Paul says here.
Do we not? Hey, I got a question for you.
A manifesto.
Do we not trust young historians? Because you just don't, like, where are they? I will tell you. Amanda's Mild Takes. I believe she is kind of a historian. She reads history. She does, like she knows.
It kind of goes back to when we talked about Goldwater and you said, Mother, I wasn't born yet.
She did. She goes, that was 1974. And I'm like, yeah, I wasn't born yet, by the way.
Actually, I think it was 72, but I don't know. We'll get to that in a minute.
My brother wasn't even born.
Goldwater. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I have thought of myself as saying yes to the Constitution and to freedom. That's his take on the living Constitution. The Constitution has much to say to us regarding foreign policy if we will only listen. I can remember when Donald went in and he had Obama had all the things lined up for him and everything, and he said no, he didn't need any of that.
Oh, Anthony said that Ron Paul used to carry around a Constitution pamphlet form in his pocket, like he was Chairman Mao's Red Book.
We have one of those.
We got it from the Cato people.
Yeah.
And we're not really sure exactly when that came or arrived or who it was sent to or how we got it. But
it's a questionable vintage. We don't know.
Maybe it was sent to Brad. Maybe it was sent to Brad because it was 1996, right? Was the date on it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I want you just to keep in mind this whole thing about foreign policy. Because it is in the Constitution. Okay, it isn't some whimsical thing that, Hillary thought of when she was in there. The framers did not want the American president to resemble a British king. The Federalist Papers,
we discussed that with the gentleman today.
To point out a critical difference between the king and the president as envisioned by the Constitution. I think you'll enjoy hearing this. The president is to be commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy of the United States. In this respect, his authority would be nominally the same as the king, but in substance much inferior to it. It would amount to nothing more than the supreme command and director of the military and naval forces as first general and admiral of the Confederacy, while that of the British king extends to the declaring of war and to the raising and regulating of fleets and armies. All of which, by the Constitution, under consideration, would appertain to the legislature.
All right.
Congress was supposed to declare war.
All right. Well, are we going to discuss this? Or, what
do you want to talk about?
My brain's
What do you want to talk about?
Mush, and I'm
President Harry Truman?
fired up about this.
Talk about Truman?
Truman?
Truman? Truman? Yeah. Truman and the Korean War. Not a good thing. Let's don't talk about that. Okay, and then we have now this Senator Robert A. Taft.
Why do I remember?
Well, Taft was a president, and this was and I wrote that down someplace. Where did I write that down? About good old. Here he is. And his middle initial A is for Alfonso. So I tried to look up because Alfonso, that is not a name that.
That ain't a white dude's name.
That ain't a white dude's name. So let me tell you about Robert.
Well, necessary.
I did look it up, and there wasn't anything. And I tried to look up his mother, and there's nothing on her in Wikipedia anyway.
You didn't go to Ancestry.com?
No, I don't know how to get there. Okay, he was the son of William Howard Taft.
I love you.
You haven't told me how, Mariah. It's on you.
I don't know that. I would assume, actually, if you're like a public figure, that they probably do have your, because they bust out your whole family tree thing there.
Yeah.
But you got to pay for it, usually.
Now, he was totally a libertarian. He opposed NATO. He criticized Truman for the Korean War. These what do you call them? The L word I just told you.
I don't know, Anthony.
Anyway, they're always against any kind of foreign intervention. And he had the highest score on the Ohio bar exam.
Yeah, sorry,
he was really
Sherry,
smart.
We switched it up.
So anyway, he was he's called a non-interventionist. Just remember that. Robert A. Taft. It's
Well,
not-
there's a lot of those folks that are running around now, and they're kind of like, "Hey, I thought you said, sir," with tears in their eyes, sir.
Okay, so Taft, okay, I gotta read you what Taft says. I desire this afternoon to discuss only the question of the power claimed by the president to send troops anywhere in the world, and to involve us in any war in the world, and involve us in any war in which he chooses to involve us in. I wish to assert the power of Congress, and to point out where the hell is Congress?
I was going to say, where are people hollering and saying, "I would like you to assert your power, please"? I mean, they're saying it, but they're like, "No thanks."
Oh, they're whispering it over in the corner like little frightened mice. And to point out that Congress has the power to prevent any such action by the president, that he has no such power under the Constitution.
See, even Ron Paul knew.
No, that's Robert A. Taft.
Oh, Taft. And then Ron Paul was like, "Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Go, Robert."
I agree with this, and I put it in my book.
Incumbent on the Congress to clearly assert its own constitutional powers unless it desires to lose them. Word of warning there. And he says, in the long run, Taft went on, the question we must decide involves vitally, I think, not only the freedoms of the people of the United States, but the peace of the people of the United States. Where's my goddamn button? Right here. And this was from the first one.
People were very entertained with our buttons, especially and now she gave me a shirt that I'm gonna
this button goes back to the Vietnam War, folks.
She's been doing this a while.
It's a little yellow around the edges. Okay, so where was I think not only the freedom of the people of the United States, but the peace of the people of the United States. If in the great field of foreign policy, the president has arbitrary and unlimited power, as he now claims, I didn't put that in there, it's there. Then
I was going to say that sounded like something you'd put in.
Then there is an end to freedom in the United States in a great realm of domestic activity which affects, in the long run, every person in the United States.
Who was he talking about in there?
He was talking about Truman and the Korean War. Truman just, woke up one morning and said, okay, let's go there and whip their ass. I don't think that happened. If the president has unlimited power to involve us in war, war is more likely. History shows that. Arbitrary rulers are more inclined to favor war than are the people at any time. Okay, now I can go on and read you this. There's 20 more pages here, but I want to read one last page to you, and then we're going to go on to something else. But I just thought this was so absolutely...
She's very much into this book.
Very much into this book.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, Anthony.
Pardon?
Roy Cohn was the one who taught DJT to, not admit anything or...
just make lies bigger.
And never said
never
that
back down.
Yeah.
I do not believe that most Americans want to continue down this path. Undeclared wars without end, more and more police state measures, and a constitution that may as well not exist. But this is not a fated existence. We do not have to live in this kind of America. It is not too late to rally and recall our people to the Constitution, the rule of law, and our traditional American Republic. Powerful stuff. Get this book and read it. It is absolutely, I am not a libertarian by any stretch of the imagination.
She's little streaks.
But I'm becoming more so.
She's having little streaks. She's feeling a familiarity.
I think that it is in response of having gone too far in the other direction.
Maybe.
I don't know. But look, here's my note. No, I keep, not only do I mark in the book, but I keep notes.
Yeah.
All right.
So the actionable item, y'all, if you want to stand up and be out there and, meet some other people, because I think, step one to this organization kind of business happens by going out and talking to people, meeting with people. No Kings is coming up 1 week from today. Here is the link. If you want to go to that link right there, you can look up and find out which event is near you. Here's the thing. There are also, you might just go ahead and get over there early or check out Mobilize, because they have, if you don't really necessarily feel comfortable in doing, going out to the protest, they have different events of like painting signs, just different online events too. Just to know that you have some folks that, are in the same boat, and it's good to connect with them, know your community, just for simple reasons of, I don't know where all this is going, but you just might need somebody, and that's a great way to connect with some folks that you can get in touch with, trust,
develop a rapport with.
And I think that those things are definitely, I'm sorry, and I switched it up, and I know this was kind of a wonky one. Next week's going to be kind of wonky too, because we are going to go to the No Kings protest here in Wiley, which is at 3:30, I believe.
So we will have a late one next Saturday also.
Or we can do it early, but early on Saturdays is tricky for us because we're running around and we're, going to gymnastics, we're grabbing lunch, and then usually by the time that we do that, we're.
Okay, one of the things that, I told Mariah, I said, I'm really interested in what does it take to become a citizen? Because they're always saying, well, if you want to come as an immigrant and come to the United States, and you need to go through the legal procedure.
No, and here's the other thing. So Amanda's Miles Takes, again, her link's down below. Like, she's one of the channels I like watching. And I know that, see, like, I like grabbing up this information and go, okay, it's really great. She did a great short, and I'm sure that she probably, has something over long form on Substack. But she's like, there was a post by one of the members of Congress. I can't remember which one, but it was something like, the gist of it was that paperwork does not make you a citizen. And she says, au contraire. That's exactly. I mean, first and foremost, you have the Constitution, which is a piece of paper. It's paperwork. Also, to prove U.S. citizenship, you are generally in need of a few primary documents. Documents being paperwork. If these are unavailable, a combination of secondary evidence may be accepted by the government agencies. You can go there. I don't know if you can trust what's on the government websites these days, but they're still up and running.
It isn't
primary documents.
Isn't like you can verify.
Crapshoot. These documents are typically sufficient on their own to verify both your citizenship and identity. Typically, a U.S. passport, which is also like the reason that what's so nuts about like this SAVE Act BS is that it's a poll tax. Because in order to verify, to have the proper paperwork, you have to pay for it. Now, here's the thing.
It's in the hundreds of dollars.
In the Constitution, bring it back around to the Constitution. There are a couple of different sections in there. I am terrible at, like, this is not like where my brain.
What is your question?
Well, my question's not really that. It's just there are a couple of places and amendments in the Constitution that say, this is what is proof of citizenship. And then when you require somebody to pay money, that is a poll tax.
Yes, because they can't vote if they don't have that, so they have to pay money.
Right.
It's yeah.
Now, your U.S. birth certificate, which, is given to you at birth.
Well, last one I ordered would cost me $25.
Again, see, almost another poll tax situation.
I don't know what it costs now.
But then a certificate of naturalization issued to those who become a citizen. And by the way, we have all of the citizen questions because we're not sure.
I'm fixing to read these.
Oh, now, Brad said... Here's what he suggests. He's like, it'd be funny is if y'all just go through these and see if you can answer them, how many of them you can get. Y'all want to play that game?
Okay, but let me just...
I was like, I don't know if I want to be embarrassed by, myself.
Let me just read you this quote here first.
Okay.
Whatever America hopes to bring to pass in the world must first come to pass in the heart of America. Think upon that for a minute. The fee for your citizenship after you pass the test is anywhere from $595 to $640, and I could not find out why that fee
Well, there's
varies.
And then there's
so much.
Some reports here recently that people are getting kind of screwed over by that. Like they're going through the system as they are supposed to. They're paying the fees that they're supposed to pay, and then but they're not actually. Then it just like stops. Well, where's that money going? I mean, is it going to that same account that the Venezuelan oil money's going to?
Well, yeah. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
Okay, these questions are asked to you verbally. So you can't sit down with the test in front of you and reread a question a whole bunch of times. They're going to ask you the question, and you have to answer it. You may also take the civics test in the language of your choice. The USCIS officer will ask you to answer 10 out of the 20 civics test questions with an asterisk. This is if you're 65 or older and you've been living in the States as a lawful resident for 20 years or more. Now, there's a difference between a lawful resident and a citizen, very obviously. You must answer at least 6 out of the 10 questions correctly to pass the 2025 version. And I looked this up. This is the one they use now. This is the newest one.
Oh, I pulled it from like the website. I figured that it was.
Yeah, well, they change it. It has been changed. This is the newest one, though. Okay, here's the.
She's double checking my work.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I the reason I looked it up is because I didn't know.
You weren't sure I was.
And I thought it would be a good thing to know. All right, here's the print. This is part A, Principles of American Government. What is the form of government in the United States?
It's a republic.
Very good. That's one of the answers.
Yeah.
Another answer is it's a constitution-based federal republic. And I'll look this up. Here's the definition.
It's that one then, right?
No, all of these. It's a republic, constitution-based federal republic, or representative democracy. Those are all 3 correct answers.
Oh.
This is what this test doesn't. It's not a multiple choice. It gives you the answers of.
See, I didn't understand that.
Yeah. Okay. A constitution-based federal republic is a form of government where power is shared between a national government and state governments. Federalism. Guided by a supreme written law, constitution, and led by elected officials rather than a monarch. And they ain't talking about butterflies.
Yes. So see, that
key features include limited government, separation of powers, and elected representatives. I'm very curious. Separation of powers, and Donald Trump is telling what's his name, Johnson. He's telling him what to do all the time. He's also telling, blonde Bambi girl what to do all the time. And if they don't do it, he's fired. So you have right there, impeachment.
Right, but then see, what they didn't understand is that you were going to have a Congress full of folks that were like not interested in upholding the Constitution, and they were like, "Yay, King!" That's where there was just an assumption. I believe.
We
were held together with duct tape and assumptions.
Okay.
And decorum and things that don't exist anymore.
Here's the next one. I think you'll get this one too. What is the supreme law of the land?
The Constitution.
Excellent. Name one thing the U.S. Constitution does.
I don't. This feels very broad and like I'm getting set
and the
up.
answers are very broad too. So just give it your best shot. One thing the U.S. Constitution does.
Why do you get to read the questions? I'm going to read the questions and make you feel like.
All right, I'm just going to read you the answers because I really think that this is okay. Forms the government.
Okay.
Defines powers of government.
See, I was going to say set law.
Laws, yeah. Defines the parts of government.
Okay.
Protects the rights of the people.
Well, I was going to say we the people.
We the people.
Does that count as
okay, here, I love this. The next one is the U.S. Constitution starts with the words, we the people What does we the people mean?
It means we the people that are here. And it even covers people that are here, like, on the land.
Yes.
This is where due process comes into play.
An example of a social contract.
Yeah, I gotta go get water.
People should govern themselves. Consent of the governed. Popular sovereignty. Self-government. How are changes made to the I'm sorry, she's not here for this one. Changes made to the U.S. Constitution. Amendments or the amendment process. All right, here we go. What does the Bill of Rights protect? The basic right of Americans, the basic rights of people living in the United States. It doesn't say citizens, it says people. All those people that are in Dilley, Texas, are not being protected by the Bill of Rights as prescribed in the Bill of Rights. How many amendments does the Constitution have? I did not know that. 27. I don't know why you need to know that. Why is the Declaration of Independence important? It says America is free from the British control. That's number one. It says all people are created equal. It identifies inherent rights. It identifies individual freedoms. I go back to, what does the Bill of Rights protect? The basic rights of people living in the United States. And I just said, it did not say citizens, it said
the people that are here.
The people. Mm-hmm. You know, if you hop off a plane from Germany, you have rights here in the United States.
Yeah, not to be snatched up and just, yeah.
Okay, I think you get this, but my advice to you is go and look this up on your, I looked through this and I marked a couple of ones here.
Well, it doesn't have the website on there. I can't remember. It's like the, it's.
Yeah. USCIS.gov/citizenship. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. I guarantee you Donald Trump could not pass a citizenship test.
I bet you he couldn't even read that. Like.
All right, now we've talked about the cult of Trump. We're going to talk about this again because dear old Stephen Hassan, PhD, is also in this book. I got this book yesterday.
This is one that stayed up
read
late.
It into the wee hours of the night. It was a New York Times bestseller. How about that? I don't know the first one. I don't know where the proceeds went for that one. But this one, all the proceeds are going to the World Mental Health Coalition, which is the one. I don't know what they do. There's branches of it. But none of the proceeds are going to the people that wrote the book. It's all going to...
like a democracy docket kind of stuff or whatever?
Yeah, kind of that thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to be very, number one, you need to get the book and get the More Dangerous Case of Donald Trump because it's got all the ones from the first one in here.
You want the second version is what she's saying.
Yeah, you want.
Because there was first round.
Yeah, there was first round. First round was only 27 psychiatrists.
Only.
And mental health experts.
I think, don't you normally just need at least, one or two good ones just to let you know that
this one is now 40 psychiatrists and mental health experts. 40. Just about double the number there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the motivation for? And then one of the things that we need to talk about here is what we just talked about with Mariah and the Rockefeller rule. The Rockefeller rule, and I'm going to read it to you because before I start any of the rest of this, because it's really important, is what kind of quashed all the information in the first book. people were afraid to speak out
I can remember
because of the lawsuits that were threatened.
there were people that were like, listen, and they were very careful, the ones that would even go out. I don't know if y'all remember this or not, like back on the internet back then. That
Yeah,
some of
Sandy
the
X. Lee is the one that did a lot of
yes.
the woman.
Yes. She's an Asian woman,
Asian
right?
woman.
Yes. Okay. I remember seeing her, and it was kind of crazy because you could tell that, like, she was
Very cautious.
super cautious. And you just got that sense that it's just like, all right, like, you know, why was this?
Yeah, why are you being so
Yeah.
antsy about that? Why, well, you know, just tell it like it is. Well,
Yeah.
here's why. The Goldwater Rule. And it's called that because the original, and I can't tell you who he was. I should have that.
Here, I can get that for you. What is
Okay.
it?
The Goldwater Rule is now a section in the APA Code of Ethics. And this APA stands for Association of...
So the Goldwater Rule is an American Psychiatric Association, the APA, ethical standard established in 1973, stating it's unethical for psychiatrists to offer a professional opinion on the mental state of public figures they have not personally examined and for whom they have not obtained consent to discuss. It prohibits long-distance diagnosis of public figures.
Okay. This whole book is...
You went the origin? Created after the 1964 election when Fact magazine published a survey of psychiatrists labeling candidate Barry Goldwater as psychologically unfit for presidency. It's also kind of funny because once again, we know the projection is super real and how, you know, he's so adamant about how, you know, smart he is and that he takes the dementia tests and all the things. Yeah.
All right. So I had to read you this because this is by Ravi Chandra, MD, is a psychiatrist, writer, and compassion educator in San Francisco, and a distinguished fellow of the American Psychiatric Association. And he's received honors from all kinds of things. His upshot of the GR, Goldwater Rule, is a slogan, dogma, a religious mantra, a shibboleth, an article of fundamentalist faith, the pablum of the heretofore ruling class of psychiatry, and the opiate of the medical masses, and through them, the population as a whole. Or to use philosopher Harry Frankfurt's terminology, bullshit.
Sometimes you just gotta say it.
I was reading you, quoting you, and it was in quotations there. Okay, so now you know about the...
It's literary.
So the whole thing in this book is it is telling you why that is bullshit. Because it is just another way to control and manipulate words in such a manner that it takes all of the essence out of it. Makes people afraid. It makes them shrink instead of getting bigger. It's just another way to do it. Okay. However, the public trust is also violated if the profession fails in its duty to alert the public when a person who holds the power of life and death over us all shows signs of clear, dangerous mental impairment. And it's okay. Only in an emergency should a physician breach the trust of confidentiality and intervene without consent. And only in an emergency should a physician breach the Goldwater Rule. We believe that such an emergency now exists.
Hey, so I love this. Anthony says the Goldwater Rule is kind of like the Godwin's Law. Current circumstances have made them irrelevant.
Amen. Okay. And then they go on. Okay, they test it out in all of these different scenarios and it talk to each other. And anyway,
I think they finally got to the point where it was like, listen, we're going to get this on record that if we could have said something, we would, or we did, and this was the best way we could do it. And because otherwise, like, people would be like, later on in history, we'll be like, why didn't anybody do anything? Why didn't you say anything? Why were the professionals? Because they're gonna like make.
And here, Mariah's gonna love this.
Will they get to examine his brain? Will they get to examine his brain? I mean, is he gonna?
Well, he won't even show us his taxes. I doubt that he's gonna allow us to look at his brain. I'm not sure there's much there. There's probably a lot of air. Okay. They list all of these, and these are psychiatry.
So many thoughts about all that.
Psychiatry terms here. I'm not going to read you that.
No.
I want to let you get the book and read that all yourself. It is worthy of reading. I find this fascinating.
She's been all up in this.
I mean, I am going to go back, but I just have to, little high points here, and, that kind of, keep things on line. All right, this chapter is called Donnie and BB, Mirroring and Twinship by Avner Falk, Ph.D. Donald's mother called him Donnie. Benjamin Netanyahu's called him BB, while Americans do not refer to Trump by his childhood name.
Oh, I think we should. God, okay.
Donnie.
Can we get to a point where a reporter finally just says, Donnie?
Hey, yo.
Hey, Donnie. Yo.
Oh, that would trigger him, I guarantee you, because one of the things that
I don't think he had a good...
His mother infantilized him. Yeah, look that up.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of those psychiatric terms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. While Americans do not refer to Trump by his childhood name, Israelis commonly refer to their prime minister as Bibi. In psychological terms, Trump is a mirror-hungry, quotation marks, leader who needs his followers to mirror himself to him, including his thoughts, feelings, and self-image. He likes people who give him the mirroring of himself that he is hungry for. They satisfy his deep emotional need and make him happy. After the Attorney General cleared Donnie of his collusion with the Russians in the 2016 election, the 72-year-old U.S. President Donald Trump received his chief foreign admirer, the 69-year-old Israeli Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu, who had come to see Trump 2 weeks before a general election in Israel that would determine his political future. While there are obvious differences between Donnie and Bibi in origins, upbringing, and culture, the two men are political and psychological twins.
Mm-hmm.
Both had tyrannical fathers who preferred their elder brothers. Both had cold, distant, and infantilizing mothers. Like Trump, Bibi is paranoid and narcissistic.
Okay, hey, hold on a second. So, the buying everyone shoes thing, that supposedly comes from his dementia that's hitting hard. Because once, I think it was Park Rose Permaculture, she talked about this, and that a lot of people that work with dementia people, there's a point where they start to buy things, or they want to give out presents to everybody, or something like that. But that's where the shoe thing may be coming into. And maybe it is partially the mirroring thing too, is he likes to see them all like,
Well, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Like Trump, Bibi is a nationalist right-wing leader who thrives on excitement, fear, and hate. Like Trump, Bibi acts as if he is entitled to do whatever he likes and is above the law. Like Trump, he has broken the law many times and has been investigated by his country's law enforcement authorities.
That's why he doesn't want to hold elections.
His crimes. The Israeli Attorney General has announced that he would indict Netanyahu on charges of bribery and breach of public trust. Aha. And what?
That was really good, Anthony.
What?
They said I have wooden bowls that make great purchases if you get dementia. Hey,
I like your one, the little yarn ball thing. I need that.
No, you don't.
I do too. Just rolls around on the floor and gets cat hair all over it. I did vacuum today.
She did, and I noticed.
You did. Here, I gotta read you this, Mariah. This is just great. Did I read the? Oh, I have. We haven't had it. Okay, I will. Yeah, and it talks about nations, country, and a collective psychology, because this is what happens.
Yes.
When the person that's up there, your role, your muy ultimo person of importance in your country, acts like a
yanker.
whack job. Yeah, that too. But the size of their respective countries did not matter. I said sometimes size.
Size does matter.
What does matter, what did matter to Donnie and Bibi was their mutual marrying, their twinship relationship. The two leaders used one another to fight their investigators and advance their political careers. With Donald Trump, flattery gets you everywhere. Bibi, who knew that he's a lot smarter.
Oh, yes,
he's a lot smarter than Donald is.
The W one, not the Y one.
Who had spent a good part of his younger life in the United States, who spoke English fluently, fed Trump's narcissism by dressing like him, agreeing with him on everything, and heaping praise on him. The U.S. president was delighted. So they got to blow up things together. Okay, the Abner Falk was a PhD.
Oh, yes, and whatever BB has on DJT.
Yeah, I don't even think he has to have anything on him. I think
he's Donnie from now on.
Donnie. Yeah.
Donnie.
All right. So this is by Hattie Myers, Prospect Before Us.
Mm-hmm.
And this statement by her. It's prophetic, I think.
Eddie says Donnie Two Shoes.
Really? Oh, remind me of that, the shoe thing. And I'll at the meeting, analysts did this is an institute meeting, community meeting, because it's clear that many of us needed to be together. I recall reading them a few sentences by Jean-Paul Sartre, who, in writing The German Occupation in Paris, said, "The often atrocious circumstances of our struggle made it impossible for us to live out that unbearable, heartrending situation known as the human condition in a candid, unvarnished way." At the meeting, analysts did candidly speak about heart-rending concerns related to their patients, children, potential war, and the future of our country. Those analysts who had lived through World War II experienced Donald Trump's election as a harbinger of the end of our democracy. The rest of us didn't yet. We were just stunned. None of us, except those older colleagues who had come from Europe, could imagine then how much worse it would get. That's why sometimes when you say old historians, well, sometimes actually living it is a whole lot more meaningful to you than just reading about it.
Yeah.
And I think it is. And it goes on here, and it talks about how it's called Room, ROOM.
Well, Jesse, I mean, no, okay, so speaking of, like, brain trauma, and we should pull up the studies. I need to make a note, that because they're studies, and I just have watched a few videos where they alluded to them. I have not pulled up the studies and know where, all these things are. I'm going to make a note, though. The roundabout of it, though, is that because he had the stroke, and a lot of times anybody who had head trauma, which we live with one, had a lot of head trauma, they tend to have these widely right-wing, ultra-conservative views. And so, and even after, like, somebody has those sorts of head traumas, they can be very, very different people after that.
Yeah, completely different personalities.
So I think that that's what happened to him, because
okay,
yeah.
Look up this. It's she says calls it a participatory newsletter called Room, a sketchbook for analytic action. ROOM.
ROOM. What is it though? Sketchbook what?
For analytic action. Yeah. And it's a thing for health professionals, but anybody can go there. All right. So.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay. Oh, okay.
ROOM's unique analytic foundations and editorial process remain true to our understanding as psychoanalysts of how change happens. We have come to appreciate the power of an openly participatory democratic process in creating what the Tate Museum has now termed a new social turn art. A category of art that focuses on constructive social change and is collaborative, participatory, and involves people as the medium or material of the work. I think, when we were doing our protest cards and that sort of thing,
which we will be doing again this year.
Yes.
Also, this is over at PM Artist Studio. So if you're new here and this is our Creative Artivists Work channel, we will be doing protest cards probably. I don't know if we're going to roll it up into June because I'd really like to focus in on Pride during June. So maybe July, we will be doing postcards.
I think that for the 4th of July, for the nation's birthday, what better? Yeah.
Instead of, some kind of MMA thing on the lawn of the.
Okay, I have to do this because this is one of the things that, we talked about and has...
By the way, he moved that up to his birthday.
What?
Which I wonder, because they were going to do it for the 4th of July, right? The MMA. I just had this thought. Okay, here, we're going to take a little pause for some conspiracy or something. Oh, conspiracy. Caw. He moved the MMA fight thing that they had planned for the White House lawn to his birthday, which is in June. Maybe he doesn't think he's going to make it to the 4th of July. He wants to make sure that he sees this big party.
Wow.
There's a thought. Starting rumors here, y'all.
He could get those people to come in and pray for him, and maybe they can have a healing moment.
Now, they already prayed on him the other day.
Evangelicals do not see Trump for who he really is.
No.
And it is causing great harm to our country and the cause of Christ. And this is by Chris Thurman, PhD.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear to me at the time that Trump was intellectually, psychologically, and morally unfit for office. My alarm only grew. As increasing numbers of evangelicals threw their support behind Trump and his selection of Mike Pence, a devout Christian, and his running mate, well, we know how that worked out for poor old Mike. Lucky he didn't have his neck stretched. Quote, there are none so blind as those who will not see, and Trump-supporting evangelicals are among the most blind Christians who ever engage in politics. Evangelicals are especially good at cherry-picking verses from the Bible to justify their support of Trump. But I have two questions I would like to ask evangelicals who support Trump to answer. Number one, how do you support someone for president who unrepentantly practices the things God hates? Like from Proverbs 6, verses 16 through 19. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. From my perspective, that is word-for-word description of how Trump operates. He has haughty eyes. And remember when he was asked if he had ever asked God for forgiveness, he said he didn't think there was anything he needed to be forgiven for. His lying tongue, he's told over 30,000 lies. I don't know who the hell
that's an old count.
That's an old count.
That's an old number.
Oh, yeah. Okay, because this was a 2024 edition, right?
Yeah.
And the frequency has only increased since he left office. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, this was before he got back in sick. Trump's gross mishandling of the COVID crisis qualifies as the shedding of innocent blood. Tens of thousands of people died unnecessarily from COVID, all because Trump didn't want the numbers to make him look bad. Trump has a heart that devises wicked schemes, scams schools and charities, and feet that are quick to rush into evil affairs, tax evasion, sexual assault, defaming others, inciting an insurrection, just some there. Trump bears false witness against others in that he frequently attacks people's character, especially the character of those he feels most threatened by, in an effort to distract from how little character he possesses. Finally, Trump stirs up conflict wherever he goes. Don't we know?
All right. Hey, and I did go ahead and put in a link to Tim Whitaker. I really like this guy. He's a little bit goofy, but I think that that's endearing. Like, you can just tell he's like kind of a nice, goofy dude.
Slightly nerdy.
Slightly nerdy. He's just, you can just
Socially.
tell his heart's good. I feel like that. I don't know. It's hard to tell through the internet, but this is my feeling so far with the dude. But anyway, there's a link to a video he just did recently, and I've been sharing it with a lot of folks. Because he is from that whole evangelical, like he came from that. He has or is like Park Rose says, you're always deconstructing. It's not something that just, it's like all of a sudden one day you're not. It's a constant because it's so deeply embedded in your identity.
I know, and and I think about that a lot because I really had two worlds. It was, my great-grandmother, who I went to church with every Sunday morning, evening, and on Wednesday was prayer meeting.
Yeah, it's like youth night and stuff.
Well, it wasn't. Yeah, it was serious stuff. You just prayed a lot on Wednesdays. But I also went home to my household where we were very unreligious. Didn't even go to church most of the time.
Did Grandma Frances go to?
She went to the Pentecostal church there in Holly, the one that was right across from the liquor store.
It was a small town.
Yeah.
Location matters.
Get out. Yeah, they weren't open on Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, not to be tempted.
Yeah. But anyway, I think one of the reasons I wasn't totally immersed in that and I just know about it is because I had that sort of balancing factor when I would go back to my house and my mother would say, that's bullshit. And so I didn't have to, but it also caused some conflict, when, who do you believe? I don't know.
How did you support? Who did you believe?
What? Up to a point, I knew all along it was a bunch of bullshit, but I just went along with it because it was an easy thing to do. And I left my great-grandmother a lot and she left me. It puts you in a difficult position. It really does.
Yeah.
How do you support someone for president whom God says to ignore? Okay. Evangelicals, how do you support someone like this for president? Isn't that the truth? This is Timothy 3, verses 1 through 5. There will be terrible times in the last days. People will become lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Having a form of godliness, but denying its power, have nothing to do with such people.
She's being dramatic.
I'm being very dramatic. Okay, well, I'm not going to go through that. I think that we can all understand that. All right. Christians must stand up for the truth. All right, let's go back to. I already read you. This is my last one, and I promise you that.
Checking to see if everything's fine down.
Okay. Wow, what was all that going on?
I don't know.
This is the challenge of writing about Donald Trump in 2017. Okay, now we already talked about Goldwater Rule. Okay. And he's just going to tell you what his observations were at that time. Donald Trump, on his many television appearances, had convinced me that he was paranoid, grandiose, and a would-be dictator. A prediction that was proven correct when he attempted to subvert the peaceful transfer of power following his clear defeat in the 2020 election. The paranoid core, and this paranoid thing really has a lot of gas as far as, I mean, you know.
Now, did you read that about the food thing in there? Or did you just tell me that from something else?
I can't remember where I read it. But it was in one of the books.
One of the reasons he likes eating at the fast food places is he can, supposedly. Now,
he can watch them prepare the food right there in front of him. And he know if it's been rewrapped or anything, if he's getting it from someplace. Yeah, because he's paranoid about being poisoned.
But he's technically he's poisoning himself in a way because he's eating such terrible food.
That's
it's just a slow.
Ironic.
Isn't that ironic?
The paranoid core of his personality was revealed in his unswerving belief in non-existent dangers that threatened this country, and his belief that the United States was in a state of carnage and decay. But yet it's the greatest country in the world.
Yeah, it's so bizarre that it's like, I just, if folks would pause for a second and go, well, which is it?
Indulged paranoid fantasies.
But they don't stop and ask. Because that would be asking a question, and that would put the cracks in the whole system, and, you know, it's just, okay. Okay.
And his thing here says, insight into paranoid grandiosity as a character should protect us from assumptions that Trump is like a child. He doesn't believe that. He says, narcissism has nothing to do with paranoid grandiosity. It is a kind of character that is self-centered, but in a different kind of self-centeredness. Narcissistic personalities are not dangerous. They make those around them, their spouse, their children, happy, even miserable. But there's nothing to indicate that they have the capacity or the desire for dictatorial power. When I first suggested that Trump was an American Hitler, many people objected that this went too far. More than ever, I am convinced that my assertion that the parallels between Trump and Hitler are eerily accurate. Like Hitler, Trump, in his grandiose effort to make America great again, will be capable of allowing Putin to re-annex the Ukraine and making alliances with Putin to take the United States out of NATO. Well, what has happened?
That was 2024.
This would allow Russia to regain its satellite states, all of whom would be prey to Putin's expansionism without the United States military to back them up. We need to think about Trump's paranoid preoccupation with immigrants as very much equivalent to Hitler's preoccupation with the Jews. The need to cleanse the country of illegal immigrants is parallel to Hitler's need to eliminate the Jews of Europe to purify and protect the continent. Does this sound extreme? Mm-hmm. Not if you really think about the plan to round up millions of illegal and legal immigrants and deport them. It should be remembered that Hitler's initial plan was based on the idea of expelling the Jews, putting them into concentration camps, and then deporting them. When no one would take them, he developed the final solution. Destructive impulses.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump has been described by several psychiatrists and mental health workers in this volume. If he wins, this is before he did win. We can forget about anything resembling free and fair elections. He will be above the law. He will be our Hitler.
Now, here's the thing. Okay, now when people start doomsdaying and who's it, what's it, and even in, okay, so there's a couple of things to unpack there real quick, because I don't think that it is 100% helpful to go, oh, well, we're not going to have free and fair elections, because the thing is that we will have elections. Now, how, to what degree?
I don't think you can predict that.
In order for authoritarians and in order for you to have, they have elections in Russia.
Yeah, they do, but then they don't pay any attention to them.
Right, but you still have to have the illusion of an election. So when people say we're not going to have elections,
Oh.
that's bullcocky nonsense.
Oh,
We're going to have elections.
We will have elections. But
now, where we want to go, okay, now we need to figure out and understand, like the things with the SAVE Act and, okay, where they're going to, post up, ICE agents or, all of those things. Are they, how are they suppressing the vote? How are they making it, that's the question. So focusing on whether we're going to have elections or not, no, that's ridiculous. We are going to have elections. And one of the lovely things about our system is that it is through the states.
This is true, but they're trying to get a national law that determines who will be able to vote.
Yes.
And how that is determined.
And along with the gerrymandering of things, which I think that's going to backfire. That has already proven to backfire on them here in Texas. Because you can't just be, snatching people up and then expect those folks in those communities to be happy about what you're doing and then cracking, what do they call it? Like it's break and crack the gerrymandering because they thought that they were going to have the same amount of point or the, whatever the swing, sorry, my brain's a little tired at this point in time of the day. I apologize. Usually it works a little better earlier in the day. But the points, the number of, like they take a district that's going to win by like 10 points. Well, now they've broken it and they've, shaved off 5. Well, now you're in the margins. And then you've done all of these things. You've lost your voters from the last election.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening. And that's why Tallarico did as well as he did in certain areas, because he really resonated with that group of folks. So those are the things like to keep in mind and not to doomsday yourself into, because if you just throw your hands up and say, oh, well, there isn't anything I can do. Well, yeah, there is. Of course there is. We can show up and you need to make sure that, bring a friend.
Exactly. But I do think that there are things we can learn from historical precedent.
Oh, 100%. But that's why you go, okay, well, what is the precedent? And that's why it's also great to understand in the ways that from, what they did in Germany or even earlier on in our own history. Because
Hitler was elected.
He was.
We elected Donald Trump. He won the popular vote.
But the systems are different. So we do have things within the system that we are currently in to be able to do and to activate and to participate in and not allow. And one of the nicer things is that, okay, so here's the deal. So if they did shut down all of the elections, and this is why a lot of people are like, okay, well, what does that mean? So you're not going to elect any of the Republicans either. Okay, I don't think they're going to be too happy about that. At some point, they are going to reclaim the power, because if they start to figure out that they are no longer needed at all, well, what are they going to do? Right? I don't know. Does it get, and that's where it goes, all right, is it too late?
Here's the thing. We have to get back to who is leading the country here. And I think these 6 things here, I want you to listen to them, because the logic of a situation is not being borne out because we have no logic.
Right.
Such people. Okay, this is after observing behavior and speech. Trump's behavior during speeches and all hours. I can't remember how many hours. I mean, I'm surprised the man still has his brain. Number 1, observations. Such people are generally incapable of understanding and responding in an emotionally empathetic way to how another feels, treating others as objects to be used rather than subjects in their own right. Black and white thinking effectively splits the person's perceived world into those who support him and all those who are against him. You are in either one camp or another. Lacking the need to evaluate how their actions may impact others. These people react more quickly with less skepticism about the correctness of their actions. He's never wrong.
Yeah.
Number 4, such individuals have not developed a respect for others' thinking, relationships, or efforts. They ignore the necessity for maintaining extant organizations, government structures, conventional practices, law, and alliances between others and between other nations. Did you hear what he said to the Japanese minister?
Oh, I mean, it was so uncomfortable. Like, I physically got, like, just...
I used to worry when George W. went out and
Talk
said
to people.
Stupid shit. But
he sounded like a genius compared to this one.
Yes. He at least talk about art. Due to the above, 1 through 4, their thinking is focused but lacks nuance. Finally, following on 1 through 5 above, they display a limited capacity to distinguish the real from the wished for or imagined. And that's where the man is, I think, right now.
Yeah.
I do think that he is having...
sundowning is kind of what...
he's having definite brain issues.
Oh my gosh, if y'all go back, I mean, even, 5 years, 10 years, listen to him talk, I mean, it is crazy different. Not that we all like to hear, like, I can't listen to him very long because it just sends me into a rage. But just find some clips. In fact, I think some of these content creators, what would be great is if once a week, they just put together a compilation. Make sure you have his past stuff there always. And just saying, this is the update from this week. So you can just see it, like, doop, doop, doop. That would be, lovely and wonderful. All right, we got 9 minutes.
Okay, so we may end up a little early here. I don't know how long we're going to talk about this. This is page 231 in The Cult of Trump. Humans are intrinsically social creatures. We seek connection, though it is often with people we view as similar to us. If we are to heal the current rift between parties and ideologies, we need to talk with people who are different.
We did that today.
Which can be a tall order. And yet, struggling with and resolving our differences is at the heart of what is best of the American experiment has been all about. Learning to cope with and navigate those differences will let us flourish as individuals and as a society going forward if we commit ourselves to the process. One of the things that I think is most rewarding when you talk to immigrants, people who are from another country, you suddenly begin to see our country in a whole different light.
Oh, it's just the joy of it. Like, we're just like, oh, yes. Good God, I'm so sick. Like, I don't know. I walk around feeling like apologetic and like, I'm sorry, because you met my Uncle Bob and I'm really sorry. Like, that's how I feel most of the time. But then you meet people that have it, either their parents or they themselves were, naturalized citizens, then it's a whole different thing. They're so happy to be here. And you're like,
yeah.
But did you meet Bob? Sorry about Bob.
Yeah, but boy, did we meet some other people who were really great. Nice. Yeah.
Like, thank you.
And, yeah. Okay, when I'm counseling people and describing healthy versus unhealthy functioning, I use the image of a funnel. If you believe that you have the truth with a capital T, you are going from the wide end of the funnel towards the narrow end. Your view of the world grows limited because you're only looking for confirmation of your existing beliefs. When you are growing and expanding, you realize how little you know and how much knowledge and understanding you have yet to discover. You are looking from the narrow end to the ever-widening one. Healing the rift requires education, teaching people about influence technique, propaganda, and persuasion, fantasies versus fact, as well as a warning sign of destructive groups and leaders. And I have grown pursuing these in pursuant of a knowledge that I thought I needed in order to talk about something in an intelligent manner to you. I feel a very deep responsibility.
Yes.
About that. And if I do tell you something that is not true, I want you to call me out immediately. fallible. You know, I am. If I'm reading you something that you know something else about, don't hesitate to let me know.
Hey, and the information changes.
And very rapidly, you can see from reading a book from two years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago. Okay. There's one more thing here, and I lost it. I don't know. We may have to just
call it. She done lost it.
I lost it. Okay, here. This is good. Because you just did the evangelical thing.
Okay.
I don't know where. If there are laws that protect people from being conned out of their property, there should be laws that protect people from being conned out of their opinions, thoughts, and beliefs. Respect for religious freedom means respect for the integrity of the conscience of the individual. Clarkson writes, and this is, where is it? Clarkson. Okay, he wrote a book. Called Eternal Hostility: The Struggle Between Theocracy and Democracy. Frederick Clarkson. Okay, that's from this. A final note on the subject of religion. I believe the tax-exempt status should not be granted to just any group that says they are a religious organization. I would like to see a governmental body set up that acts as a consumer clearinghouse linked to the FBI and the IRS that has the power to investigate and prosecute any tax-exempt group or entity that systematically violates people's rights.
And they got all the data now, and they've put it all into. They can track that.
So
why don't we use our?
We have a constitution.
Mm-hmm.
We have the laws.
Where is your little constitution?
Well,
you should hold that up. That is not the Constitution. That's the Revolution. By Ron Paul. There's the Constitution right there.
The Constitution with lots of little notes stuck to it and stuff on the inside.
All kinds of things. We're getting lots of mileage out of our little Constitution.
The right to resistance.
Oh, what was that? Oh, yeah, the thing I wrote down the other day.
Yeah.
That was some good stuff. All right, my friends. We'll be back here tomorrow over at the other channel. That's the PM Artist Studio. But until then, we'll be back next week. It will be another weird time because we're going to No Kings. I hope y'all will too, or at least support people throughout the week. Maybe go and do some posters and signs. I know a lot of our arty friends are here. Use those, art supplies to help some folks out. Get some posters made. Or just, if you're feeling real extra arty and ranty, make a postcard and send it off to some of those folks that, go to Washington and don't do anything.
There you go.
Or
go and buy a book off of Thrift Books and read a book.
Yeah, there you go. There's your actionable items. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Bye.
Caw, caw.